Welcome to Jolene's Books and Writers Talk, where stories begin long before the first page, and writing is more than words on a screen. I'm your host, Jolene McFadden, and each week I sit down with authors and publishing professionals to talk about craft, creativity, and the real life behind the books. These episodes are sponsored by Southern Dragon Publishing. Please take a few seconds and hit the like button, share this and other episodes, subscribe to our channel, and even leave a nice comment below. Let's begin.
I'm Nancy Blanton, and it's very nice to be here talking with you. I live here in Jacksonville, Florida. I went to high school here, and I'm born in Miami. So this is hometown, basically. I have been writing since I was maybe 10 years old. I'd love to write, but I never had much confidence in myself until I got a bit older. And I now am the author of 5 historical novels that I'm very excited and proud of and loved doing. I can talk a little bit about what got me there. I went to journalism school after I got out of high school, and I worked for a couple of newspapers. And then I moved on from there to public relations and community relations. And then my husband and I moved from Florida to Seattle. And we spent 21 years in Seattle building our careers. And mine was with the Port of Seattle. And I was the corporate communications leader there. Lovely, lovely job and lots of writing, but corporate writing and not the kind of writing that I wanted to do. So at home at night, when I was supposed to be watching TV, my husband was falling asleep, I was writing. And it came to me slowly, but I think there's another question that you will ask me a little bit later about how that came about.
Okay. That sounds wonderful. And the name of your latest published novel is?
My latest book is called The Noblest Share of Earth, and it takes place in County Donegal, which is in the north of Ireland, the farthest north of Ireland. And it is all about a family, and a noblest share of earth refers to Inishowen, which is a beautiful and fertile peninsula, which all of the people around are fighting for the opportunity to own it and manage it.
So have you been to Ireland yourself?
I have been to Ireland 6 times, and I've been all over most of it. Not too much in the center, but around the coastlines and so forth. And each of those trips have helped me to make my books more real. And also, I was fortunate to have a friend who has recently passed away, but he and his wife were adventurers themselves. And they lived in Ireland. And if I told them I wanted to go to a castle, they knew where it was and they would take me there. So that was a big bonus.
Cool. Are you on social media?
I do Facebook. I used to do Twitter, but I pulled off of that now. I do Instagram.
Are you hooked up with any of your Irish writers?
Only one now, and his name is, forget his last name now. Anyway, he lives in Donegal. He used to be a superintendent of schools, and he is a writer of romance books. And so I stay in touch with him, and he helps me, and I help him.
That's cool. I know on TikTok, I try to get in touch with other writers around the world, several in Scotland, 1 or 2 in Ireland. Mostly I just watch the thirst trap videos over there. But Australia, New Zealand, Great Britain, that sort of thing. That's one thing I like about that platform, is that you can connect with other writers from around the world. And
amazing, isn't it? You are truly global.
It's nice. First question of the day. Who has been your biggest supporter in your writing thus far?
Well, I would have to say it's my husband, and he doesn't read my books. He doesn't. He's afraid if he reads my books, he might say something negative, make me stop or something. What he does do is he gives me the time and the space to do whatever I need to do. He's very proud of my work, and he's the first one who brings it up anytime we meet new people, and he tells them all about what I do. So I guess he's my best promoter too.
Very cool. It's nice to have a partner.
Yes, it is.
All righty. Are you considered like traditionally published, hybrid, or indie published?
I'm indie published. My work focuses entirely on 17th century Ireland. And that was my goal, to write a series of stories that fill out that whole 17th century. And I could not interest any agents in Ireland for some reason. I was appalled. But if I mentioned Ireland, I had two of them. They didn't look at my work. They just said, maybe you should write something else. So I don't understand that. And I just decided then and there, I'm not going to waste my time anymore. I'm going to go independent and do my own thing. And I and another similar author of similar mind got together. Her name is Andrea, and we put together a thing called Amelia Indie Authors here on Amelia Island in Florida, which is for authors like ourselves who are not fitting into the cubby holes that the agents are looking for. And we can help each other and support each other towards some success with our writing.
Did you go wide or did you just stick with Amazon KU, that whole thing?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Is your book available on like chapter books in Canada and
Yes, it's not
Blackstone?
it's through Ingram Spark primarily, and
Ah,
I've gone pretty broad with them. Yes.
yeah, they're considered a wide distributor. And funnily enough, Draft to Digital is also a wide distributor. They do ebooks and paperbacks, and they're delving into the audiobook. But the paperbacks they send over to Ingram Sparks division to be printed and distributed. So instead of you having to figure out how to get your PDF to work on Ingram Sparks, you just do it through Draft to Digital, and they take care of all the back end. So something to think about in the future.
Yes, I had been on Drafted Digital before, and I think they made some changes and were shifting into something different. And I got out of the process of working with them, but I will go back.
I haven't had a bad experience with them so far. And
Excellent.
their latest software updates over the last 6 months, if you upload your book as a Word, a formatted Word, basically you just format it the way you want to, and then you just make each chapter headings the title, and then they take care of everything.
Nice.
And then once you get your ebook up and the way you want it, and it flows properly and all that, they do the chapters. Of course, you don't have to put in a chapter listing. They do that part. And then they take that ebook and make the paperback from it.
Oh, the opposite way that I have been going. I've been
And
doing the
you can
hardcover
download.
first, and then the softcover, and then the ebook.
Okay, this way they take care of all that formatting for you, and they make sure your chapters are right. Personally, I like to start all my chapters on the right hand side, even if I have a blank page on the left, which is fine. And they do different headers style of each.
Mhm.
They're limited. They're based on like mysteries, romance, and they have different icons and all that. Or you can add your own, which is not too difficult. But
I'll
you know,
definitely look into that.
they
I
do all
will.
that, and then they make sure that your book is. So you download the PDF and you look at it and say, "Yeah, that's what I want," and then they send it off to Ingram Sparks.
And they do a great job. I'm
Yeah,
really happy with the books whenever they send in my order. They do a great job.
people compare the paperbacks of Amazon to Drafted Digital, and they are slightly different because there's different printing processes and different paper and all that kind of stuff. What is the most difficult part of your writing process?
For me, it's discovery. And that is that I need to know what the story is. I start out with a timeline. Usually, I'm writing historical fiction and I'm writing along the lines of these events that happened at this particular time. But I need to feel and hear and see what is the story that I'm working on. And what often happens and what I hope and pray for is that I'll see it in a journal that I'm going through. Usually I'm digging through research and suddenly something will appear and then I know that's it. but I also get terrified that I'm never going to find it. You probably know
Well,
that feeling.
yeah, the lovely thing about our age now, especially librarians are digitizing as much of the old materials as quickly as they're able to because, well, they're disintegrating for one.
Yes.
And it's making it available to patrons, which is great. I actually pay for the newspapers.com 6-month subscription, and there's more and more newspapers from around the world that's being available in a PDF. So they're converting it to a searchable PDF so that we can read stories from as far back as they can get them up there. So 1700s is a long time ago. And
Yes.
there's research materials very difficult to come by. I was sent an email last year about the UK's National Museum Library. They opened up millions of photographs and diaries and all of that to patrons, even in the US. You just had to sign up for an account and they send you.
Wow, that people love that.
Yeah, it's like the Library of Congress is trying to do. Of
Yes.
course, now with our current president trying to destroy everything, they're still digitizing as fast as they can and giving it access to people. I love it. There's so much available now to help us historians. Okay,
I do
what
too.
comes first for you, the plot or the characters, and why?
I think, as we were talking before, I think it's the plot because I have to start with that timeline and see what's going on and what's happening and what kind of a story I can weave into that timeline. And then I can build the characters because then I know how many, who I need to have and what they need to be able to do and those sort of things. So it's definitely then going to have to be the plot for me.
Do you create like a Bible of characters, scenes, towns?
Characters. Yeah, I create a character profile and I find a picture on the internet that I think might look like this character that I'm going to have. And I'll grab that. And then I'll just write out who their family is and whatever other information that I can have about them. I have a whole profile for each character. And then I can go back and refer to those when I need some more details about that particular character.
Have you delved into using AI yet?
I am shying away from AI at the moment. I like to do my own thing. To me, right now, AI is interrupting me. I know it's the future and I will need to learn more about it, but I'm trying to do my own thing and delve in, feel like I'm doing my own work and learning it, not just gathering it.
I like to use it to create the characters actually
How
and
do you?
lines and stuff because what you can do is put in your detailed description, the time period and the dress code, and it will try to create characters that look similar to that. Yeah, it goes all over the internet and looks at pictures and then maybe uses a face, but it takes in mind that you want red hair and green eyes and bulky, muscular, skinny. And it's just something fun to play with. And you can still do it for free right now. And yeah, sometimes they come up with 5 or 6 fingers. Hard time with the fingers. I don't know what that is all about, but it's trying to figure out the fingers. But it gives you something to stare at while you
Right.
I am learning about steampunk. I'm trying to do a steampunk mystery romance kind of
Oh,
thing,
yes.
but set in America, in Chicago and down the East Coast, different hotels and the railroad, and got President Teddy Roosevelt involved and all of that stuff. So I'm
Sounds
reading
like
all about
fun.
that. And I use the AI to create what I think is steampunkish with the sprockets and the leather. Anyway, so it's fun, but you get in trouble doing that because you lost. You get lost in the creations. Let me see if it tweak it just like this.
Kind of like a rabbit hole.
It does. It's a rabbit hole of either history. I'm reading newspapers from the 1901, 1902, 1903, Chicago, New York, North Carolina, Florida, whatever I can find to keep me in that era. And of course, they had electric cars in, they had steam cars, and that all fits in with the steam pump thing. But they didn't have a lot of personal electric cars or steam
Uh-huh.
cars. So that's what I'm adding into my alternate universe. They were more public transportation.
That's great. I'm glad you're having fun. It sounds really good.
Lifelong learner here. I just got accepted to the University of Florida in
I
the
saw
fall.
that. Congratulations. I love it.
Yeah. So I'm going the other way into journalism. You went in first, I'm going in last.
I
So,
told you that when I got there, when I went into journalism school, they didn't even have computers for the students to use.
and it's all online. So I don't have to,
Yeah, everything.
I'd love to go over there and be part of that culture. And I may do that if I pursue the PhD. But right now, I'm enjoying the emails and the videos and the virtual experience of being part of that kind of thing.
Wonderful. Great.
All righty. So you said you've written 5 books?
5 historical novels, yeah. And they start in the 1600, and I'm right up until 1660 right now. So that means that my next book will be about the Restoration period with King Charles II. And so I'm working on researching that particular time period. And as it turns out, I will be able to go back and pick up a character from a previous book who appears in 1660s. It's nice when I have an opportunity to bring characters together like that. So I am just starting my timeline and just starting to pull my characters together because I had been fretting fretting over waiting for that story to come. And just 2 days ago, I found it. So now I can begin my process. It's like stumbling across a treasure chest or something.
Our muses have different ways of working.
They certainly do.
Mine just goes wild and every shiny new thing I start over. So I need to finish one project first. Get it done.
Get it done. I know that factor.
We talked about research, and for your upcoming book, what are your plans? Do you have a set of rules or places you want to try first to get the research started for your book?
I have a stack of books about Charles II, and now I'm not sure how much of that I'm actually going to need because I am going backwards a little bit into the maybe late 1650s with these former characters and pulling them together. And I think I will have to, research my past with these characters first and then go into what I think will be the Duke of Ormond. He was in leadership at Dublin Castle at that time, and he was Charles II's right-hand man. I'm writing about Ireland. I think he may end up being the central character and the powerful character. So I'm having to backstep a little bit because I already did some writing about him as well, so that I pick up where I left off and move forward with the story. And he was a very powerful man. And so I'm looking forward to discovering more about him.
To classify, I know you say your historical romance, 17th century, Irish.
And not so much romance, some romance.
Some romance. It's more of a historical fiction.
Yeah, right.
And you try to keep as close to documented history as you can.
I do.
Okay. And what parts do you take a license with?
The romance is definitely the parts that I have to imagine. And of course, the dialogues between those characters, I have to imagine. The historical characters, sometimes I have letters and documents that do have some of their actual wording that I can pick up on, and that's very helpful for accuracy. And of course, sometimes I need to put a character in a place where they would not normally be or weren't. in order to have a talking person that I can use that tells the story in a place that they wouldn't normally have been.
Is your stories first person, second person, third person? I never can really get that right, or is it a mixture? Point of view.
Gosh, it's the story kind of tells me once it gets started. With my latest book, I have three first person characters, and I let each one of them speak at different times in events where they would naturally have been. There's a husband and a wife that are the leaders of the clan O'Doherty. And then there is a first man who helps the husband as the clan leader. And each of them are able to be in different places at different times so that I can tell the full story. Because there's a lot of places where, for example, the wife would never have been, and things that would never be able for them to know without having this separate person that I've created. But it all seems to work and all seems to come together. As we speak, my cat has wrapped his tail around the bottom of my computer screen and his head is sticking out the other end, which answers one of your questions. Do my pets ever get involved in my writing process?
Yes, cats are very good about that sort of thing. Dogs are a little bit better. They just sit at your feet most
At
of
your
the time.
feet.
Just say, "Hey, I'm here."
Cats like to mosey across the keyboard every once in a while.
Yes, yes. One of the questions you said you wanted to answer was about professional editing and how important that is for book development.
Yes, absolutely. I have always used a professional editor because I want somebody who has a clean slate to look at it and to catch things that I'm not going to see anymore. If I've been going through a document, sometimes I'm working for 2 years on a book like this. There's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm not going to be able to see anymore. And so these editors are very helpful. This last time I worked with the history quill in England, and my editor was Kelly Ergen, and she did a tremendous job. She gave me very detailed suggestions, and she not only told me what she had a problem with, but what she loved. And that was very helpful and very encouraging. And so I would definitely do it again with her having the opportunity. But local editors, I have beta readers that work for me too, including my sister. I put her to work. It gives me a great deal of confidence once I get to the publishing point that I know I've done the best that I could do to make this work as clean and as clear and as effective as I can. I couldn't do it by myself.
One of the things that a couple of my writer friends like to do is to print out their book prior to publication and have a glass of wine in one hand and a marker in another. Go through. Do you do that kind of thing too after your beta readers and your all that?
I quit drinking, so I can't do the wine. But I do lots and lots of scanning. I would say it would take me too long to sit down in one sitting, of course, to go through the whole books. But at some point, I think after I've gone through the editing process and done the best that I can with those corrections, I have to back off because I'm going to start having that blindness again. And so I let the beta readers be my final look because they're going to see it freshly.
Okay. Do you ever employ ARC readers prior to publication?
ARC readers? What? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
ARC readers are the ones that are going to do your reviews to your pre-orders and that sort of stuff. You give them the finalized ebook copy and they agree to read it. And if they like it, they put in your reviews at the time of publication.
Okay, that would be a no. I don't know
Okay.
anything about that.
All right. There's alpha readers,
Yes.
beta readers, and ARC readers.
Okay.
So if you ever decide to do ARC readers, of course, usually you send it out like 2 weeks before your publication date and you do it in your newsletter and say, "Hey, I need some ARC readers. Could you please read this and give me a review when the thing is published? And this is your deadline." So you give them a little time to fit it into their schedule and then it helps boost your sales anyway.
All right. I will look into that. I guess I have been hounding my friends instead.
Like I said, it's a way to bring in your reader list, and not
Yes.
everybody's going to commit to doing it. You're giving them a free copy of your book, and
Sure.
they commit to reading it, and they're not required to give a review, but it is assumed that they would consider giving you a review, and then you give them a date. So it's another marketing tool, something to
Okay.
consider. You don't
Thank
have
you.
to do
Glad
it.
to hear about it.
Okay. I love this question. If your story was made into a movie, which actors would play your characters? We'll start your latest book.
What I used in my latest book actually were actors. I searched out 4 actors online for one that would fit my vision. They're both Irish actors. One of
Oh,
them is Sarah Bolger. She is a wife. She's blonde haired and she has both a tenderness to her.
a softness.
Anyway, she's very well known in Ireland, I think. And she has both the ability to be strong on this side and then very fragile. That's what I was looking for in this particular character. Also, she's very beautiful. For the clan chief I picked, he's only 18 years old at the time. And that's what he looks like. And she looks like she has this vulnerability to her that I think is very
Oh, pretty.
important. Yeah, those were the actors that I selected. I think have worked very well, and I'll recommend them to the movie when it comes out.
It sounds like you have a storyboard while you're writing. That's cool. So you like have pinned to it the wall, or it's just in a box and you just take it out when you need it.
I have my files online where I keep them all there and then have them show up on there. I have the box and stuff scattered all over my desk.
Have you ever killed off a character your readers loved?
Since it's historical fiction and I have to be accurate, for this most recent book, I had to kill 2.
Oh,
So I'm not so sure whether my readers love them or not, but I love them. And the Caer O'Doherty, who was the clan chieftain, he is killed in battle towards the end of the book, which is not really revealing that much because it is actual history. I had to kill them because it was actual history.
oh,
And then prior to him, there was this man that I truly loved. His name was McDavitt. And he was, I would say, the mentor for Caer O'Doherty. And he helped him from the time he was 14 and raised him up to the man he was going to be as the chieftain. He was cocky, he was smart, he was arrogant, and everybody loved him. And he was very talkative and joking around, and everybody loved him. He's just one of those guys. But he and a group of soldiers that went out riding with him to make some kind of a deal, they were ambushed and they were all murdered. And so I think it's just that kind of cockiness that may have led to his demise. I don't know. No one knows. No one ever found out who murdered them, what happened. So that was very sad for me as the writer to have to kill him off for both of those characters, but I had to be accurate.
what is the most valuable piece of advice you've been giving about writing?
For me, there's 2 of them I'd like to say. And one of them is, first of all, just tell the story. It's so easy to get, especially when you're in historical fiction and you have so many little details fluttering around in your head. It's easy to get stuck, caught in the details. What I need to remember is just tell the story, and the rest of that can be dealt with later. I have stuck very closely to that. It works for me. The other one is that someone told me very early on to remember the writing and the book are this much of the process. And the rest of it, it goes all the way across the board. When you're talking about publishing, the writing and the book are the smallest part. Don't get too caught up in the details again, is what I learned. Move forward.
Very good advice. Just getting it done. Once you have something down on paper, you can go from there. But
So same thing, basically.
yeah, basically, that's the best one. Just Don't worry about all the rest of that. If you don't got nothing to work with, what are you going to do? So, are you like a big reader, eclectic reader, or you just stick with historical or
I used to read a lot. My mother was a big reader and she read all sorts of things and she would pass the books to me, but she liked historical romance. And
uh,
so I got guided into the historical that way. I started wanting to tell the full story, not the whole romance thing. But the biggest thing that got me going was Gone with the Wind.
ah,
Gone with the Wind was my favorite book of all time, and I've read it about 4 times. I would have to say that one was the best for me in it was very much a romance book, but it also was telling a very serious story about what was happening in the world at that time. And that was the most influential for the way that I write.
oh, okay. My mom loved to read Eugenia Price.
Oh, yes.
She enjoyed her books a lot.
I read a couple of hers too. My mother read her as well. Yes.
I'm more of a mystery buff. I like all mysteries.
Ah, yes.
All righty. Let's see. One last question. What are you currently reading?
Currently, I am reading a book. I'll have to show it to you. And it's quite awful. The book's not awful. What he's telling me is awful. It's about regicide. And this is one of the things that happened when Charles II came to power as the king. He wanted to punish the people who beheaded his father, King Charles I, who signed the document that set him to a death penalty. There were more than 60 men who were punished and executed for that. They were called regicides. I'm reading this book about one man who survived almost through his own life. He was called Henry Martin. So I'm reading about him, and I'm also learning about what those regicides were like and what being drawn and quartered was like, which is just absolutely horrid. And so I'm just trying to get that as background for what I have coming up to look into.
All righty. Miss Nancy, we've been on here for 20 minutes or so. My computer doesn't like movies bigger than 30 minutes. It gets all upset.
We don't want to upset your computer by any
No,
means.
poor thing. I've run it ragged for the last 3 years.
I really appreciate your taking the time with me, and I enjoyed talking to you and answering the questions. Thank you. This is wonderful. You're doing a great thing for a lot of writers who need some help getting their story out there. Thank you.
That part I really enjoy doing. I like doing promoting. North Florida writers don't get all the promotions like South Florida writers because they don't have big organizations behind them. And we're just now starting to come in our own.
You're a very good part of it. Thank you.
All righty, Miss Nancy, you have a lovely weekend. Be safe out there.
The same to you. Thank you again.
You've been listening to Jolene's Books and Writers Talk. You'll find links to my guests, their books, and additional resources in the show notes. If this conversation inspired you, follow or subscribe wherever you listen, and join me again next week for another journey into the world of writing.